The sun crept over Willow Creek with the slowness of a town that had no reason to rush. The morning light spilled across rooftops and danced on dew-slicked lawns. A few birds chirped from the telephone wires, and somewhere in the distance an old dog barked once, then went back to sleep. Inside a cramped apartment above Foster's repair shop, David Miller stirred a spoon around a chipped coffee mug, watching the ground settle at the bottom. The kitchen was small and worn, like everything else in his life. Scuffed linoleum, mismatched chairs, a broken clock stuck at 5:12. A soft buzz came from the fridge, the only other sound in the quiet morning. David ran a hand through his thick, brown hair streaked with silver though he was only 32. His eyes were tired, not just from lack of sleep, but from years of trying to work enough, save enough, be enough. On the table sat a stack of bills, unopened. He looked at them but didn't touch them. Instead, he turned as small footsteps padded into the kitchen. "Daddy, can I have peanut butter on both sides today?" Emily asked, rubbing her eyes. She was 6, wearing pink pajama pants and mismatched socks. Her hair stood up in wild tufts, and she held her stuffed bear like it might float. Away, if she let go. David smiled, stood, and walked to the counter. "Peanut butter on both sides. Coming up." Within minutes, the apartment filled with the familiar rhythm of their morning. Emily sat, swinging her feet at the table. In the next room, louder voices echoed. Jack and Lila, the twins, now 7, were arguing over a shoelace. "She tied it wrong," Jack yelled. "It's my shoe," Lila snapped back. David wiped his hands on a towel. "Hey, peanut butter faces, let's keep it civil. When they came to him 3 years ago, the twins were barely 4. They showed up on his porch one night, cold, confused, holding each other's hands. There had been a note, "Keep them safe, their mother doesn't want them, I can't anymore." He'd reported it. No one came, so he became their father. He looked at them now, Jack in his too small backpack, Lila already twirling, and felt a pang of something bigger than pride. They were his now, all of them. At 7:50 a.m. they left for school. David walked them down to the corner bus stop, balancing Emily's lunchbox in one hand and Lila's stuffed unicorn in the other. He kissed all 3 on the forehead and waited as the bus rounded the hilltop, like it did every day. But that day, something was different. There was a noise first, a shriek, metal on asphalt, high-pitched and horrifying. David turned toward the sound. At the top of the hill, the school bus was careening sideways, tires locked, steam rising. It wasn't stopping, it was speeding, barreling down the street like a rocket out of control. The bus driver's face was white with panic. Inside the windows, children screamed. Jack and Lila were in the street. Emily was calling to them from the curb, but they hadn't heard. They were crouched, tying shoes, oblivious. David's mind went blank. Then he ran, faster than he ever had in his life. His lungs burned, but he didn't feel it. The world narrowed. Just him, the street, and the bus. He reached the twins a split second before the bus roared past. With a full-body shove, he hurled them toward the sidewalk, twisting his own body in mid-air as the bus skimmed past behind him. The wind of its passage tore at his jacket. The crash came a moment later, loud, splintering, brutal. The bus slammed into the telephone pole with a horrible crunch of metal and glass. Then silence. David opened his eyes. Jack was beneath him, trembling. Lila was crying, her face pressed to his chest. He clutched them both. "You're okay," he whispered. "You're okay, I've got you." Sirens blared in the distance. It was over, but everything had changed. By nightfall, the video was everywhere. Someone had filmed it from a shop window. It showed David running, diving, saving 2 kids from certain death. News crews flooded Willow Creek, calling him the bakery hero. Since he worked mornings rolling dough at Joni's breadbasket, David didn't like the attention. He turned down interviews, declined money from the GoFundMe page, and stayed home with the kids, baking brownies and patching his torn jeans. But somewhere in New York City, On the 45th floor of a steel and glass skyscraper, Evelyn Harrington saw the news story. She was standing in her office, looking out at the skyline, her phone in one hand. Her assistant had sent the clip with the note, "You need to see this." She clicked it and froze. There they were, Jack and Lila, her babies. Her hands began to shake. She hadn't seen them in 4 years. Her ex-husband, Michael, had taken them and vanished. He forged papers, lied to courts, moved constantly. Evelyn had poured millions into private investigators, flown to states on whispers, been led into courtrooms that never gave her justice. And now, by some strange twist of fate, her children were alive, safe, and raised by a stranger. Evelyn called her pilot. She was on the next flight to Willow Creek. The car arrived quietly. No paparazzi, no lawyers. Just a silver Rolls-Royce rolling down the dusty road of the small town. David was outside the bakery, fixing the broken sign. The woman stepped out of the car in heels unsuited to gravel, but her eyes scanned the town like she was searching for a ghost. "Mr. Miller," she said. David turned. His first thought was that she was lost. "I'm Evelyn Harrington," she said, her voice steady but raw. "I'm their mother." The air seemed to vanish from the space between them. They sat on his porch that afternoon. Evelyn spoke of years, of pain, of Michael's lies, of her legal efforts that hit walls every time. She handed him papers, proof of identity, of custody, of DNA. David listened. He remembered the note. "Their mother doesn't want them." She looked at him, her voice cracking. "I never stopped wanting them." David didn't argue. He'd seen enough in her eyes already, but he told her one thing quietly. "They don't know you. And they love me. I know," she whispered. "That's why I want to do this the right way." She stayed in a small cottage outside town. She came by daily, brought picture books, puzzles, played soccer in the yard. She sat on the grass and let Jack paint her face. Even when Lila laughed so hard she cried. It wasn't easy. Lila didn't speak to her for 3 days. Jack wouldn't look her in the eye. But slowly, things changed. One night, Evelyn stayed late to read a story. After the last page, Lila reached for her hand. "Mommy?" she whispered. Evelyn broke down in tears. David watched them from the doorway, unsure if he was witnessing something being healed or something being taken. One evening, as crickets sang and the porch light flickered above them, Evelyn sat beside him with a cup of tea. The children were asleep upstairs. "I've been thinking," she said, her voice light but serious, "about staying." He didn't respond. "I bought the house by the lake, the one with the white fence and the big kitchen." David chuckled softly. "That kitchen's bigger than my whole apartment." She turned to him. "It's too big for one person, but not for 5. He looked at her, confused. She pulled out a small velvet box. "I came for my children. I didn't expect to fall for the man who raised them." Inside the box was a ring, gold, simple, honest. He stared at it. "I'm not asking out of pity," she said. "I'm asking because I don't want to break what they have. I want to complete it." The porch creaked as Jack ran outside. "Can we all be one family now?" he asked. "Can Daddy stay with us forever?" David blinked. Evelyn's eyes welled up again. He looked between them, this woman who had lost so much, and the children who had gained everything from both of them. Then he nodded. The town gathered beneath the old oak tree that spring. Evelyn wore a pale blue dress. David wore his one good suit. Jack, Lila, and Emily dropped flower petals on the path. Joni from the bakery baked the cake. Mr. Carson cried. After the ceremony, they all went home to the house by the lake. Emily got a puppy. Jack built a birdhouse with David. Lila started ballet again, and Evelyn drove her to every lesson. Sometimes Evelyn still flew to the city, but she always came back the same day, because home wasn't in a tower of glass. It was on a porch in Willow Creek, where a single dad once ran into the road and changed all their lives. And every night 5 plates sat on the dinner table, 5 toothbrushes in the bathroom, 5 names on the mailbox. One family, forever.